Morning, this is Dr. Cool Fix. How are you guys doing today? Welcome to another interesting edition. Today we're going to be discussing about the transmission temperature sensor. What is transmission temperature? Transmission temperature sensor is some sort of a thermistor which the ECM uses to know the temperature present inside the transmission fluid or the transmission system. It is actually imperative to know how much temperature is present inside the fluid, because if it is too hot, it's going to make the system to wear out fast, and if it is too cold, well, it's not going to cause much harm. So here the safety is to make sure that the transmission temperature is at the normal operating level depending on your driving conditions or the event. So where is transmission temperature sensor often found? Be my guest, is hidden inside the heart of the transmission system. And because of this, I'm not going to recommend you car enthusiasts to do this or a DIY. Take it or drop it. The automatic transmission system is more like a rocket science. If you don't believe in the rocket science, what about the jet science that flies without even wings? Well, that is very strange, and that is why most often times when you have a problem with your transmission system, it takes just more than a regular mechanic to get it. And that is where you get ASC certified mechanic to actually diagnose a problem. And believe me when I say that the transmission control module have more components than your engine. And that is why in some car make and model, the transmission control systems is much more expensive than the engine. And in some other case, some other transmission systems are being designed by some other companies, not even your car makers who make your transmission system, because it is highly sophisticated and complex engineering. For bigger trucks you have act. For smaller cars, I really haven't made any serious investigation about that, but on this I know there is a serious piece of engineering right there whenever I see the components puzzled together being driven by fluid. The first symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is your torque converter not being operating as usual. We're talking about erratic operation. It can decide to make your car to vibrate. It can decide to make your transmission to be sluggish in shift. So when you start noticing that your torque converters is having a problem, sometimes it can actually throw a trouble code. When you find any trouble code relating to torque converter performing below the threshold parameter, you could be having a bad transmission temperature sensor. Number 2 symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is a check engine. For cars that are equipped with PCM, often find any transmission related code, transmission problem being reflected by the electronic control, by the powertrain control. Why is that? Because the powertrain control module oversees those sections. And for normal things, for some other cars that are not equipped with PCMs, it is the ECM that actually report any information concerning a misbehavior of the engine management, but the transmission control module record and give you every information concerning the transmission system of your car. But in this case, a car which is equipped with PCM does that for you. So check engine light in all cases is not all about the engine system, but also the powertrain system. And when we talk about the powertrain, the engine and the transmission is the big giants, the big guys that play the role in your powertrain. Number 3 symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is a harsh shift. There are tons of factors, component inside your transmission system, as much as your engine, that can make your transmission system to have shift, bad solar, low transmission, etc. And in this case here, a bad transmission temperature sensor is going to cause the car to have shift, because sometimes when the transmission control module, when the PCM actually notice that the temperature is not as it's supposed to, it can be misbehaving. It's more like someone who is trying to give a speech and is already drunk up. So that is exactly what is going to happen when your transmission temperature sensor goes. You're going to be having a rough. So if you're trying to solve a car with the automatic transmission system that has shift and snap, if you find any code relating to transmission temperature sensor, then you know you are up for adventure of diving into the deep blue sea, the transmission system. Number 4 symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is a delay in shift. Most of you actually equate the delay in shifting only to bar shift solenoid, valve body, low transmission fluid, which are the common symptoms of a low transmission fluid. But you missed this guy right here, which is called the transmission temperature sensor. The TCM need to know the temperature that is present inside the transmission system in order to make the right shift. So if there is any wrong information about the temperature, because you should understand the temperature-pressure relationship, increase in pressure increases temperature. So these two guys are brothers, are like husband and wife that doesn't divorce. Their marriage don't hit them. And so if you have actually concluded within yourself that it's only a low transmission fluid or a bad shift solenoid that can only make your car transmission system to delay in shift, then you are missing the big guy. You are missing the bigger. So when you're troubleshooting a car that delay before shifting, scan the transmission control module. If it is equipped with ECM and TCM, scan the TCM and look for code relating to coolant transmission temperature sensor. And if you find it, then go and replace it if you are a DIY who can get into things without damaging. Be sure to check the manual or the repair manual guides and technical service bulletin for your transmission system before you get things running. I told you before at the context of this very video, it's a rocket science, but the very day you open it, what you're going to know what I'm saying. 5 symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is your car goes into limp mode. There are a lot of other components in your car that can actually make your car to go into a limp mode, and those components cannot be discussed in the framework of this very video. The impeccableness of the engineering of the transmission system is a sophisticated and a complex. Some car manufacturer actually know how much it is to actually experience a bad transmission failure or a transmission failure. And so when there is any such vital component that can actually result into catastrophic transmission failure, they put a safety measure to put the car in a limp mode so that it doesn't incur damage that's going to drain your water. And this is what is known as limp mode. So when you're troubleshooting a car with a limp, if you find a code related to bad transmission temperature sensor, do not ignore it. If you are a DIY and you haven't known how to actually tear transmission down apart without making a mess, do not attempt it. Take it to a professional to get it done. It will cost you less than you think. The 6 symptoms of a bad transmission temperature sensor is P0711. When you find the code P0711, there is no any other code. It could actually maybe P0712, not 11 or 13. The first stage is actually when it hasn't gotten bad. Maybe it's actually acting erratic. Then the second code, which is P0712, could be when it's at the mid-range and it hasn't fully matured. But on the other side, you can also be looking at P0710, P0709. Could be the same series of coolant transmission temperature sensor. So when you find any such code such as P0711 in your car, in your TCM mainframe, when you're scanning with your car to find out why you're having a transmission problem or transmission overheating or any sort of transmission light or check engine light in your car, then you should know right there that you have a bad transmission temperature sensor. Do subscribe to this channel, turn on your notification, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. If you have any further question, drop it in the comment section if this doesn't solve your problem. But make sure you are a core subscriber and you are turning your notification on before dropping me a personalized question. That will increase your chances of getting your question answered. I remain Dr. Fix. Catch you on the next one.